Hi everyone. Please let me know if you guys can hear.
Okay, perfect. Everybody can see my screen, correct? Perfect. Hi, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Javier. I am an employment program representative with the Employment Development Department with EDD. Today, I will be conducting a resume workshop on behalf of the Youth Employment Opportunity Program, known as YOP. So if you guys have any questions throughout the presentation, feel free to ask. There will be plenty of time towards the end to answer any questions that you guys might have during the presentation, or anything that was covered during the presentation. So let's begin. So today's agenda is to pretty much explain exactly the whole purpose of a resume. Um, Talk about the sections of the resume, what needs to be covered, what kind of pretty much highlights needs to be in a resume, what kind of type of resumes that there are, depending on your format, on experience, the do's and don'ts on doing a resume, a cover letter, which most people do not do, which is one primary important factor when it comes to job applications and finding jobs. Okay. So, what is a resume? A resume is just pretty much a summary of your employment history. Okay. Pretty much it goes based on, let's say, for example, if you have worked at retail stores, at customer service, fast food industries, anything like that, it could be added to a resume. Um, if you wonder, like, I have never worked before, I don't have job experience. What can I put in a resume? As a student, pretty much we tend to do volunteer work, for credits to graduate, or or maybe your family has like a small little business. Even babysitting could be added to a resume as well. So any extracurricular activities, any type of job experience, it could be added on your resume as well. And the resume, it's considered a marketing tool. So pretty much like any other thing in the real world, let's say for example you want to go see a movie, obviously you need a ticket. You want to go to a concert, you need a ticket. So a resume is a ticket to get you inside the company, to get that up, to be interviewed. So resume, that's pretty much your ticket onto the companies, to the employers, saying this is what I had to offer, this is my experience. You know, can my experience be used in your company? Okay, and like I said, it's like a business card. It's like a ticket. I'll pretty much refer to it as a ticket because that's pretty much how a lot of people tend to understand it a lot better. Like I said, it could be a ticket to like any other thing, movies, concerts, events, anything like that. It's it's your way to get in the foot in the door. Once you're inside the company, I mean, pretty much that's pretty much how you're gonna be, learning more as you work within the company. Doesn't really matter exactly what kind of job it is. Like I mentioned, it could be retail, it could be fast food, it could be an office, it could be outdoors. It just varies on it. Okay, and your way on how to answer questions during the interview, I'll go over on that type of information as well. Okay, so let's go ahead and talk about the sections of the resume. Um, the resume is component into 5 sections. Okay, it could be 6. So let's start with the contact information. The contact information is pretty much your information and how employers should contact you. Okay, it adds your cell phone, it has your email, um, your address in case they want to mail you out something, and of course your full name. Okay, the objective of the summary of the resume, it's pretty much um your your abilities, your skills. Are you a quick learner? Are you pretty much able to work as a team? Pretty much your skills and qualities that can pretty much apply to that position that you are applying for. Okay, it could be an experience, it could be a personal skill, it could be pretty much a skill that you learn in school, like for example, Microsoft software, PowerPoint, Word, Excel, things like that. Okay, the experience, like I mentioned, it's pretty much what you have worked in the past 10 years, because our resume is within the last 10 years. Um, if you don't have experience, you can also add your extracurricular activities, where you part of a after school program, helping other students, mentoring, like a tutor. You can add that as well. Babysitting, you can add that as well. If your family has a small business, they have a little convenience store, or they sell food, things like that. You can also add that experience. Only because you have never worked before doesn't mean that you cannot do a resume. A resume is a ticket, like I said, to pretty much show the employer, what is that you can do, and what can you offer to the company. Your education, um, you can put the high school that you're graduating, the middle school that you went to, or you can also put the college that you're gonna go next semester, or that you're pretty much planning to attend. You can use that as education. You can add, that you're a high school graduate, you have your diploma, and for college, be majoring in business administration or criminal justice, things like that. You can also add that to your resume. Um, the more specific you are, the better it will be for companies to understand exactly a little bit about your background, so that way they're kind of familiar with you. Other can be any type of miscellaneous. It could be achievements awards. It could be references. You can add uh, your your school teachers, your counselors, anybody that could give you a good reference. You can add that as well. So other, it's always pretty much pending, depending on what kind of jobs or positions you are applying within the company. Okay. So the most important section of the resume is always the objective, or the summary. Okay. So uh, the summary pretty much is a target to pretty much exactly like a thesis. What's the whole point of your resume? Um, you want to make sure and be clear about be specific about your skills that you're trying to offer to the company. Okay, so for example, Objective, enthusiastic candidate for summer graphic design internship offered by Gardner Supply Companies seeking a network administration position in the Champlain College. Okay, so that's pretty much your whole objective, you know. So if you're gonna go ahead and apply for, let's say, for example, entry level positions um, at Target as a cashier, that's pretty much what you're focusing on. That you have, you know, great customer service. You know, you're able to handle any type of transactions, debit cards, cash, checks, any type of form of payments. Um, and then you pretty much summarize your skills. Okay, a lot of people tend to be a little vague, a little not very specific. As you see the example that I have, great communication skills. It's good to put that you have great communication skills, but just elaborate on it, explain to it by adding another sentence to it. Um, for example, great communication skills, having delivered more than 50 presentations to an audience as large as 100 people. Okay, so that kind of gives more detailed idea to the employer exactly what type of communication skills you have. So you have public speaking skills. So that's another thing that the employer gets from that little section of your resume. Okay, try to avoid uh, a general or basic objective. So, as the example that I put, to obtain a position that will enable me to use strong organization skills, educational background, and ability to work well with people. A lot of people. I mean, I'm not saying it's a bad objective, but a lot of people tend to pretty much use the same objective repeatedly. Uh, Remember, keep in mind, if you are applying for a job position, you're not the only one after that position. There's going to be approximately about 5, 10 other individuals that are going after that same position. So your whole point of doing a resume and a cover letter is to stand out from that group. So that way you're at least considered for a job interview. So that way you can pretty much upsell your skills and abilities to the company. So that way they can hire you instead of the other people that are pretty much going after that position. So let's go ahead and talk about the different types of resumes. These two types of resumes are pretty much the most common and more popular. There are other templates as well to do a resume, but these are the most common and the most popular to use. So there is the chronological type resume, and there's also the functional type resume. The difference between one of them is that one includes dates and the other one doesn't. It's just pretty much a summary of skills and abilities. Okay. The one that includes dates is the chronological resume. I'll go ahead and provide examples on how a chronological resume looks and how a functional resume looks as well. Okay. So, like I said, it all depends on how you want to format that resume, depending on the experience. Um, One thing about it is that you're trying to make sure all that experience, all that information that you put in on the resume doesn't overlap to a second page. You know, if you can make it fit all in one page, uh, I think that's the most professional way to submit a resume. Because companies are not gonna pretty much skim through it, flip in all the pages um, just to see exactly, you know, what kind of experience, what kind of skills you have. Um, because there's, like I said, there's a lot of people after that same position, and you want to make yours stand out as much as you can. And formatting the resume, it's also part of it. Okay, so let's go ahead and look at examples of a chronological resume. Okay, so this right here is an example of a chronological resume. Okay, as you can see, there's dates on it. So on the employment history, it's pretty much the position that you had, which is a sales associate, the name of the company that you used to work for example, Nordstrom, the location where you were working, which is the city, Long Beach, California, and then the date. Okay, from March of 2005 till present, or if you're no longer working with the company, you can put March 2005 all the way till June of 2011 or 2012. Okay. And then you add your experience of ex, specifying what kind of work were you doing in that store. Okay. But everything else is pretty much the same. You put your summary of skills, you put your education. If you have other companies that you work for, other employers, you can list them as well. Remember, you always put down the first company that you were working for, and then you just work your way down. So you always put the most recent one. Okay. And then this is an example of a functional resume. Um, I'm guessing you guys are looking at the difference between those two. I'll just go ahead and go back just to give you guys another visual and comparing a chronological and a functional. So this is the chronological, and this is the functional resume. Okay, this one doesn't provide any dates, any companies. It just provides the experience that you have. It highlights exactly what you can offer to the company. For example, customer service, strong knowledge, comprehension of customer service, um, you know, over the last 8 years, experience in providing information to the general public, to private clients, experience and tactfully dealing with, irate individuals over the phone or in person, and so forth. Office, if you have clerical, you're good with Microsoft, you're able to pretty much type in 45 words per minute. You're able to pretty much file appointments, organize paperwork, and so forth. Management, able to supervise 7 employees, able to pretty much um, maintain the structure of the office, things like that. Pretty much, you're just highlighting the most important things of your job skills to make it into a nice, like a little sentence. Well, not like a sentence, but like a paragraph onto your resume. So this is the functional format, but everything else is the same. Um, the contact information, the objective. The only thing that changes is the body of the resume, which is the employment history. That's the only difference between those two. That changes the format. Okay. Um, is on. Remember how I mentioned other? That's where you can put the places that you used to work. So you can add your experience, as in where were you working, or you references as well. A lot of people tend to put references on their resume. I always tend to provide like a separate sheet of paper because it adds a lot of information on the references to see exactly, they just want to know a better um, have an idea on what kind of person you are, to provide feedback from your previous employers or school, teachers and counselors, anybody that might know you, personally. You can also add your education as well. You can just make it simple, adding the name of the school, where it's located, and then what kind of certification did you receive. If you're in college, you can put your associate's degree or that you're currently working towards that. If you graduated from your high school, you can put, your high school diploma. Or if you're going to an adult school, you can put that you're, obtaining your GED, your high set. So resumes are different. It's just depending on what kind of format and what kind of information you want to add, depending on on your skills and your experience. Every resume is going to look different, but what they're going to have in common is that they're all going to look professional in one page. So the do's and don'ts on a resume is what you do. Let's talk about the do's first. So what you do is you always look for grammar spelling errors. Okay, I'm if you're working on it on Word, just go ahead and spell check it, or if you have someone with you to pretty much revise your resume, making sure that the words are pretty much um, matched within the sentence, because I know there's a lot of words that they sound the same but sound differently. For example, there, as in THERE, as where there is THEIR, and then the other there, which is THEY apostrophe RE. So the computer, it will recognize it as that word is spelled correctly, but the sentence itself, it will not. So make sure you have someone double check, spell, look for grammars, any type of errors, so that way your resume looks nice. Um, the most recommended format to put this for the font size is between from 10 to 12. Okay, 10 to 12 size. You can either use Arial or Times New Roman. Any of those two, it'll be a perfect format to do a resume. It all depends on how much information you want to add to your resume, because sometimes with the format on the Times Roman or the Arial, it can make it bigger, it can make it smaller, and then the font size. So it's different ways. You just gotta play with it a little bit to see what format pretty much fits everything in one page. Okay. Customize each resume for each position using keywords from the job description. So every time you get like a job lead, or you know information about the job opening, make sure you use one of the job description information as a keyword to put that on your summary. Okay. Using bullet points, you can use bullet points, you could do dashes. Pretty much your resume, your rules, so you can add anything to pretty much highlight your duties, your responsibilities, um, using action words. So, for example, um, clean uh, my surroundings, helped customers with questions. Any action verb is pretty much how you start your resume on job descriptions. Okay. And then, like I mentioned, keep it in one page, no more than two. It's not really recommended to go over 2 pages, but if you can maintain that resume top to bottom, full length in one page, that's the most ideal resume employers pretty much are looking for. Okay. And then the don'ts, do not include personal information, okay, such as your date of birth, the height, your weight, any personal information, your social security number. That's only towards a lot of companies tends to ask if you are older than 18, or if you have authorization to work in the United States. Then that's their way of going over your social. But do not provide your social unless you're asked for once you get the job. Okay. Do not list a hobbies or interests. This one is kind of tricky because sometimes it all depends on what kind of job or what kind of companies you are applying for. Okay, so let's say for example, if um, if a store, let's say for example, like Hot Topic. Hot Topic is a variety of anime, Disney, and they have a bunch of um, diverse merchandise. And one of your interests is that you're a huge Disney fan, or you're a huge, I don't know, like cartoons, popular cartoons, um, and it applies to the position, then you can go ahead and add that. But if you are applying for a retail store like Walmart, Target, Ross, and you add that you like Disney, or that you like rock music, or that you like Spanish music, things like that, it doesn't really pretty much match with what you're trying to apply. So always try to match exactly what kind of position, what kind of job it is before you add it. But most importantly, hobbies and interests is usually a no-go. Okay. provide false information, and that's one of the main key words that a lot of people tend to put on the resume, is that pretending they know something, but in reality they don't. So let's say, for example, if you're not good with computers, if technology is not your thing, you just know like the basics, and you say on your resume that you're an expert on Microsoft Word, you know how to navigate Excel, and one time the company or your manager just gives you an assignment to work something on Excel, and you have no idea what's going on, um, I wouldn't recommend putting false information. Pretty much just put information that you know that you're good at, or if you're not good at it but you're pretty much working on it, you can also add that as skills and qualification. Okay. Do not include salary requirements. Okay. We never talk about salary or money, wages. And the reason being is because from previous experience of myself, when I used to work with the youth, um, the job was offering, at that time, minimum wage was 12. Um, so they were offering to pay 13.50, and one of the youth pretty much put minimum wage $12. So pretty much they're losing $1.50. Okay, and not only to the youth, but I've seen that in adults as well, where they put a salary like how much they want to earn. When the company is offering you more, they just lower themselves. So you never talk about salary. Um, the only time you talk about salary is when you get the job. Um, sometimes companies are willing to offer more. Some companies are just offer the minimum wage, depending on the county, or the city. So as a lesson learned, do not put a salary number on job applications. Just if the company on the application it says how much you're willing to earn, you can put, let's say, for example, you can put, to discuss. Um, you can put negotiable, open, um, anything anything like that, so that way, later on in the interview you can go ahead and discuss salary and money wise. Okay. um, Also, do not put a personal email address. Okay. That's always a big no-no. I know we have our own personal emails. We can be creative and we can be funny. For example, like the example that I put, partygirl 00 at gmail.com. um, do not put any personal email like that. The most professional way you can do is you can have a personal email for your friends, for your family, and then when it comes to work related, you can go ahead and put um, your last name or your first name, uh, with some numbers, some random numbers. Do not identify any numbers, like, let's say, for example, your birth year, like 1996, 1998, anything like that, because then you're giving out, or you're hinting your age. Okay. So just keep it simple, maybe first and last name, maybe a few numbers here and there, at gmail.com, at yahoo.com, at Outlook, anything like that. And lastly, do not leave non-business voicemails. Um, from experience, I tend to call, candidates that sometimes we are conducting job interviews for positions that we have open, and some of some of the voicemails is kind of like a joke, like a prank. I give them a call, they don't pick up. Well, I'm assuming they're not picking up, um, and they say hello, hello. Oh, it's John. Leave a voicemail. You know, Things like that. Companies don't really like that. They don't have time to pretty much getting their time wasted, because they also have other candidates as well. They have, let's say, for example, a stack of applications that they need to go through and fill in those positions. So one of the keys is that if your voicemail has kind of like a joke or like a little ringtone, something musical, they're just go on to the next person. Okay, so just either you can put in the standard automated voicemail, or you can just pretty much record your own voicemail. You have reached John. Sorry, I cannot take your phone call, but if you leave your name and a telephone number, I'll definitely get back at you as soon as I can. Thank you. I mean, that's pretty much the most um, when companies are trying to reach out and you're pretty much busy doing something else and can't get the phone, just leave a nice professional resume. I mean, a voicemail. I'm sorry. Not a lot of people know about cover letters. I just added the cover letters because, like I said, you want to stand out when it comes to applying for jobs. You want to be different from the group. Okay, the whole point of having a cover letter is to pretty much persuade and convince to the companies what you're able to offer. Okay, pretty much this format is the most professional format to do a cover letter. Um, if you're gonna send your cover letter by mail, make sure you pretty much specify who you're gonna send it to. Don't send it to the company. Just send it to the person, to the hiring manager, or the person who is in charge. Okay. Um, Cover letter is to pretty much your, let's say for example, you have 10 years of experience, in working in an office. You're able to pick up phones. You're able um, organize documents. You're able to type 50 words per minute or anything like that. That's pretty much what you highlight. I believe that my skills, my qualifications can pretty much benefit your company because, and then you pretty much explain your whole reason. um, it just explains your interest of the company, how your skills can be applied to the company. um, that's pretty much the whole point of doing a cover letter. It's just convincing them why they should hire you. Because in a job interview, they're gonna ask you, and a lot of people do not know how to answer the question is, why should we hire you? Everybody kind of blanks out because everybody's gonna say the same thing, and you want to say something different. So a cover letter is a nice format on explaining it on paper on why should they hire you. Okay. So a little summary about our program is that we're called the Youth Employment Opportunity Program. We just call it YEOP for short. Our mission is to help out those youth from ages 15 to 25 to achieve their educational vocational goals as well with their employment. So we help them in school, like for example, filing for FAFSA, getting scholarships, any grants that pretty much can help you financially, things like that. Obtain college information, what kind of college offers what, things like that. We work with you one on one, pretty much like peer advising, having your own little counselor. Okay. And we can also help you get a job as well. We can give you job referrals, we can give you job placements. We partner up with the AJCC, America's Job Center of California, to provide additional support in regards to any youth that is looking for hands-on training. Okay, and students who are eligible is anybody is eligible with as long as you're within the age range 15 to 25. But if you have eligibility characteristics, so for example, if you're a youth offender, if you're a teen parent, if you have a language barrier, you're in the foster system or homeless, you're part of the minority group, economically disadvantaged, or a youth with disability, that just kind of gives you more priority to work with us and with the partners. Okay. Um, like I said, our mission is to pretty much help any youth within those age range, 50 to 25. And these are some of the resources that we can also offer. You know, we can offer childcare, we can offer counseling, mental health services, employment services, legal aid, shelters, teen parent programs, other youth centers that they can also help you out in depending on what kind of circumstance or situation you are in. Okay. That pretty much covers the whole basic of doing a resume, the basic of doing a cover letter, a little summary of what we do, so that way people can have an idea or get familiar. Because none of these services were available when I pretty much transitioned from high school to college. Pretty much I was on my own. So I'm just glad to provide this information to everyone, so that way, knowing the fact that you're not alone, there's other places that you can go and get help. Okay. Uh, does anybody have any questions or anything they want to add?